We're going to hear from a collection of agencies that are near and dear to my heart because I ran my own digital media agency that was independent for 14 years. So now we're going to have Erik Oster come up. He's a journalist covering agencies at Adweek. I think you guys have figured out how to use Slido, so thank you very much. I appreciate you using some punctuation in your questions. Thank you. That makes my job easier. Erik, the stage is yours.
During the Charting Our Future panel this morning, Initiative CEO Matt Baxter called regaining client trust the single most important issue for media agencies. Is this issue as prominent for independent media agencies? How are client relationships at independent media agencies different from those at holding companies?
I think trust is incredibly important with all agencies, with their clients. However, I don't think that independent media agencies or independent agencies have quite the same issue that a lot of the larger holding company agencies have. I know MediaWorks, we were built on transparency, was one of the pillars of how the agency was originally begun and structured. And I think that it is incredibly important, and it's always been important for us. And those relationships with our clients, because we're smaller, we have so many direct relationships with clients, that the trust is built over daily conversations and dialogue and exposure of everything that we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say I actually don't think trust is coming back, really. For a lot of places that have lost it, because that's a relationship that it's something you don't want to have to think about, and once it's in your head, I think it's hard to get out. So I actually think it's probably a generational issue, generational issue in the relationship between marketers and agencies. We pride ourselves on transparency, but I think once that trust is, the reason the relationship is where it is because of incentives, and until those incentives change, I don't think and there's real meaning behind the changes that are made from a business standpoint, I don't think that trust is going to come back. So I don't see how it can.
Yeah, I would just add, I think the independents in many ways have been the beneficiaries of some of the disruption that's been happening in the category. Mm-hmm. And I certainly would not say that we play ourselves off of the larger holding companies. We never do that. But clearly this is an area that I think we have a simpler story to tell, and frankly have been able to be a solution for a lot of clients that have experienced mistrust or gotten to a place where they maybe have some questions about our industry and our practices. We talked a lot before about in-house. I think independence, candidly, is kind of another track that clients turn to. So as they're thinking about what they've been doing historically, and are they getting the most value out of their investment, and what are the potential pathways for them to take some of that control back, just as in-house might be a solution that they turn to, the independent agencies, I think, have always been able to kind of position ourselves as being another partner in that conversation. So I really do feel like we have, for all of the challenges of trust in this industry, we very much have had a kind of much more positive outlook and opportunity to be a solution to clients. And I can't tell you how many clients have come to us where they got to a place where they were unhappy with a previous relationship, didn't feel like they had that bond, and were looking for someone to treat them as an important brand and someone that they knew had their best interests in mind. I think it ultimately comes back to, are our goals aligned? And I think independents can pretty cleanly talk about the idea that our existence is based on our client successes, and that our best way to success for ourselves as an independent agency is to make sure we're delivering on business outcomes. And I know that's the focus for all of us, right? We're here about growth, we're here about business outcomes, but I do feel like we're able to tell a story which is very much about our interests are solely aligned with our clients, and that's about delivering on the objectives that they have for their organization.
What are some other ways in which the independent media agency vision of the future differs from those at holding companies? And ways in which the difficulties some of those holding company agencies have presented opportunities for you as independent agencies.
I think it was brought up earlier, I think maybe Nick Bryan brought it up, but agility, I think, is a big strength for us, and I think that'll be an area where we will, if we're aggressive, I think because we're independent, we don't have a lot of the internal things we need to deal with. We're able to be agile, we're able to address client needs pretty quickly. We're able to establish partnerships outside of our own with other companies to address needs very quickly. And I think that's a difference that I see just in our competitive, it's a competitive advantage for us, and one that I see that will continue to play out and get stronger over the next couple of years as the rest of the industry kind of grapples with that change, that sort of wholesale change. We're kind of, we're small enough and we're able to move quickly.
I'm going to agree with what Karlo said. I think that we're great collaborators with our clients, and it gives us a great opportunity. There's not as many different partners. We're one partner that will work with our client and other partners, but we don't have all of those silos within our agency. I think because we're independent, we kind of have a little bit more freedom to push, to jump in with our clients a little bit further, a little bit deeper. We don't have shareholders that we have to answer to or worry about a share price or anything like that. So I think that we can approach the business a little bit differently in our mindset.
I would just build on that and say, agility, nimble, those are words that have been thrown a lot, and that's absolutely true. If you're a larger corporation at scale, you're trying to figure out how can I be more nimble, how can I be more agile for my clients. We talk a lot about the idea of kind of nimble networks, and if you think about us as an independent, we're really free to play with whomever we want to play with. So if there's a new widget in the marketplace, a new measurement solution, a new tool, a new platform, we're able to quickly move and pivot as we need to, and really are not tied to any specific solution. So, I think that allows us to deliver on that promise that was expressed of, it really is about agility. I think that is a very important word for our industry, and it's something that, we have been very much able to do. I think the flip of that and our challenge is how do we do things at scale the way the larger holding companies can, and how do we make sure that, agility still has some proprietary elements to it, things that we can build and own and talk about as a differentiating capability that just isn't only about, well, we borrow this from them and this from them, and we assemble it for you. We've got to have something that we stand for and can do at the edges of all those things.
I think it's interesting, too, some of the holding companies have gone beyond their own partners within the holding company. For instance, MediaWorks, we partnered with a WPPP company this past summer on a piece of new business, which was great for us to be able to work with an agency within a big holding company, and I think we were sort of a breath of fresh air for them to work with a smaller independent media company.
And there's definitely a large challenger group, middle market, that really does look for opportunities with brands like ours because they do want to be treated the way one of the big brands at the big holding companies would be treated. They deserve that. They shouldn't feel like they give up anything in terms of capability, talent, access, tools. So we really have, I think, an important role to play in terms of being a credible solution to be able to still do the heavy lifting that brands demand, but also to do it in a way that's going to be very service-oriented and very much about the client. So there really are some great opportunities, and I think, I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but I don't think there's ever been a time to be an independent in this business. It really is just kind of a sweet spot of nimble and trustworthy and transparent, and we can deliver on a lot of those things really well. And that's certainly served us well in terms of our growth.
Mm-hmm. How has the rise in importance of data and analytics impacted your business as independent media agencies?
I think it's impacted everybody's business. It's certainly impacted ours in terms of just looking at the business differently. All the people that we've had to hire, the training, the research that we've had to invest in, it is an entirely different level, but we realize how important it is. It's something that we don't take lightly. It's something that we've invested a lot of money in order to provide the service that the bigger agencies provide to our clients. I mean, you know, one of the things you always want to know when you spend money, especially on a media end, if you spend money, what are you getting in return? So in order to be able to really track all of that and to get the best return on those investments, it's incredibly important. It has changed our industry dramatically, though.
Yeah, I think that it's certainly had a big impact. I think it's forced us to become more comfortable or more assertive in who we are and the service that we provide. I think that it's very tempting, or it certainly has been tempting for us to build out a specific data practice or an analytics team that sort of functions as its own silo. And I think, and addresses, because that is being asked, because the demands, the clients are asking for a lot of that business, or a lot of that point of view. And I think what we've done in response to that is focused on, we keep going back to, we don't want to build out separate silos. We're too small to do that. We can't have a separate team, because then that creates a split in the organization, in the department. And so we've sort of stayed focused on the consumer and had to, again, look for outside partners to supplement our capability. The people that we do hire, the analytics people that we do hire in-house, have to have a very consumer, they have to do a lot of things. And I think that in addition to the standard data and analytics capability. So I think that it's forced us to focus on our point of differentiation in the market, while acquiring those capabilities, putting that spin on it.
Yeah, you know, I think we all kind of feel right now that we're in a bit of like an existential place where we're trying to figure out, are we an agency, are we a consultancy, are we a tech company, are we, you know, there's so many different pathways. Analytics is becoming a bigger need for all of us. You know, I think the way that, you know, certainly I see ourselves keeping us grounded is, you know, rather than putting kind of media agency in the center of a strategic discussion and then thinking about what are all the things that we as a media agency need to deliver on to be successful as all of this unfolds, instead kind of flip that around and put our outcome or our goal that we're trying to achieve at the center of that. So if you think about growth, if you think about business outcomes, and kind of ask yourself, what are the things that we need to do as an agency to effectively deliver on business outcomes that our clients ultimately care about? Yes, media planning and buying or traditional media solutions are a part of that. We've talked a lot in this meeting about creativity and how that needs to be a bigger part of what we do. You know, we used to just talk about innovation, but the creativity is something different. Analytics is one of those answers too. And analytics is ultimately about our ability to not just analyze and serve data, but to derive insight that can help move our clients' businesses forward, but also to measure what we do better. And we're constantly in this kind of never-ending journey to try to measure more and measure what we do measure more effectively. And if we kind of keep at the center of that conversation the ultimate client goal, which is those business outcomes, I think it's really helped us kind of figure out our way in terms of how do we get more into, you know, what is the role of data analytics in what we do? How does that augment our ability to be able to effectively deliver on the objectives for our clients? So just trying to make sure we all, you know, we stay centered as to what's really important ultimately to our clients, and then figuring out solutions around that.
What do you view as the largest challenges for independent media agencies right now?
Go ahead.
I think our challenges are probably very similar to every agency. You know, talent is a big challenge. Getting, you know, the talent that we need, those people that can work in all of those different areas to provide the services that we need to for our clients. I think research and technology are also really big challenges for us. Trying to kind of like mire through it to determine what we need to purchase, who we need to partner with. I think they're some of the biggest challenges that we have right now in order to keep us on a level playing field with everyone else.
You want to keep the order the same? I can
Sorry.
Let's switch it up.
no,
I'll
it's
go, okay. Yeah, I mean, all the same issues. I guess the one I would add specific to independence is maybe a little bit just sense of access. And I do applaud the 4A's for having a panel like this and including independence in this conversation. But I still think there are absolutely structures that have been created within this industry that sometimes make it, aren't available to the independents. So much focus on the larger corporations, the holding companies. We obviously want to be at the party too, and we want to be a part of the conversation. And we feel like we have just as much of important things to say about our own role as independents as we do about our industry and things that we can do to help move the industry forward. But I know we're always trying to find other pathways to have more access to clients and conversations and being able to help be productive voices in kind of shaping the industry.
Yeah, I think I think my perspective might be a little bit different, just because we are not. Wieden+Kennedy Media is not very well known. Wieden+Kennedy is very well known, and so there's a weird bit of education that we have to do about what our point of view on media is, because we have a very specific one, or I guess a potentially unique one, and so. But a lot of media clients and media consultants they have their opinion anchored elsewhere. They have their opinion anchored in what the rest of the industry believes is what a media agency should look like or does look like. And so there's quite a bit of education to get in the door. And then once you do the education, there honestly is quite a bit of vetting to make sure that that's the right. I think there's media, often in pitches, certainly I was at places before Wieden, and you always want that piece of business. You always believe you can service that business the best. But because the way that Wieden, the type of work we do and the very strong opinions that we have, we are not the best fit all the time. And so it is a weird conversation to have, to fight to get in the door. And then once you get in the door, to be like, actually, you know what? We're just going to back ourselves out. And that happens quite a bit. It's again, I think it's unique to Wieden because of the culture of the place. And the reputation and all that jazz that goes with it, but
Call me when you want
nonetheless.
back out. Call me. And
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
we're happy to take your scraps, by the way.
Oh no, no.
Keeping those challenges in mind, what are 2-3 areas where you think you need to take action now to improve, or to open up some of those opportunities that you mentioned?
Yeah, as we said before, I think we're dealing all with the same issues, no matter what your size is or focus is. And, so our issues are your issues. I do feel like our ability to swim upstream and be a little bit closer to the strategic conversations has always been a challenge for the media agencies, the media partners in the mix. But that's something I think we certainly aspire to, which is if we can be earlier in the conversation when they are starting a discussion about business outcomes and about bigger goals, how can we be a solution or a part of that? So that's part of it. And I think the other piece of this too is it's not even just about in-house or independence and the holding companies. I mean, we talked before, there's the consultancies, there's platforms. Everybody's kind of coming at this from a different angle. So I think we also certainly have to figure out what our value equation is in this new model and this new kind of industry outlook. So I would say in the next couple of years, we need to have a pretty good stance. And I appreciated, I'm hoping I get her name right, what Jody said earlier about, how do we find a way to work with in-house? Not see it as a threat, but see it as an opportunity, for example, to partner with brands. Because, and we have many clients, most of our clients, I would say, have some portion of their marketing game is in-house. So how do we think about in their client journey from things they do really well and know how to do to new and emerging things that they want to get into but can't scale too quickly? There's always an answer for agencies to be a part of that. And I think that's the other piece for us is how do we really get ahead of that and make sure we've got solutions that are ahead of those client conversations.
Thank you guys very much.
Okay.
That was fantastic. So we have a few questions from the audience, and whether this blinks or not, I actually have them on my iPad here, so thanks to the tech team for hooking me up. How do you manage insourcing versus outsourcing special capabilities, especially data and tech?
So we manage. delicately and on the fly, and as needed. So I mean, it really it's like it really is all those three things. I mean, we've hired for it. We've hired permanently when we see a capability that the agency needs to build out in order to service the clients, in order to do that like Nike work that you saw. If there's somebody who needs to be brought into the agency so that we can do more of that type of work and get it into the world in that way, then let's hire them permanently. If we're pitching, we've leaned on other offices who, we try to balance our hiring across the offices so that we're fortunate to have more than just one. But it really is, I mean, and we've done temp stuff too. We do whatever it takes.
Great.
There's a lot of conversation about being an extension of my team. And I know that sounds cliche.
No, but it is.
I think that is very much a part of it. People still want you to seamlessly integrate in with their team and almost feel like it doesn't matter whether you're agency or in-house, that it's kind of a complete solution that you're part of.
Goes back to when I first started our conversation today, when I first came up and said our mission is to play well, play well with each other, play well with the clients, play well with the consumer. And so being that one team, one dream is important. So as independent agencies, how do you manage and approach the power of data in any kind of connected, scaled way? I skipped a question on you guys. I'm sorry, I'll come back to it.
Let me go first. Yeah, so look, scale is definitely one of our challenges. And there are just, in terms of the sheer sample size, there are plenty of companies in this room that have a lot more data than we have access to. That said, if you think about the different types of data, all of our clients care a lot about their first-party data. So how do we help clients effectively manage and control their first-party data is certainly part of that conversation for us. And then as it relates to other data sources, I think we're all a bit in this curation game of what does the client need and how do I find the right data set that's going to match up to really helping them support the need that they have, the audience that they have. And that allows us to scale. I mean, we have access to, it doesn't matter how big you are, you still have access to those same data sources and data platforms and partners. So I feel like we're just as effective at bringing those together at scale for our clients as some of the larger organizations would.
So I'll go back to this one just to get one more in before we have to break. What do you see as a big driver for clients selecting the independent agencies?
I think access, Jeff was talking about it earlier, access to business people in our organization, from myself, the directors, the managing directors, are all involved on every piece of business at a very intimate level. And I think that access to that quality thinking and those strategic decisions and being able to, we call it beat up an idea, being able to beat that stuff up, and that it's invaluable. It creates a personal relationship. You become more invested in their business. They become more invested in your ideas, and vice versa. We see that as a huge advantage.
I'm going to combine two questions that were on there for 1 second. What is harder for you to compete with? Each other, the big holding companies, or the consulting companies?
I would say the big holding companies. I don't believe that we have that much of a problem. I mean, look, competing for business is tough no matter who it is.
Correct.
Okay? We don't underestimate any of our competitors, but a lot of the big holding companies, there's a cachet that comes with them that's difficult to overcome.
Got it.
So
it depends on the client and their need. I mean, there are clients that need a bigger company. I'm going to cheat and say our biggest challenge is our ability to deliver performance for our clients. That's ultimately how we keep clients. That's ultimately how we tell stories that win clients. Can we talk credibly about successes we've had that have made a difference? And that's our competition. It's hard to deliver that. So how do you make sure you got good stories to tell?
Perfect. Thank you all very much. Really appreciate this. Erik, great job.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Like I said, near and dear to my heart. All right, so we are, I'm going to say the word, but I don't want you to move yet. We are going to take a break, but don't move yet. Don't move yet. I want to give you a quick lay of the land. We are covering a range of topics in our breakout sessions today. They are blockchain, brand safety, addressable, AI, AR, and voice. Each of these sessions, as I said to you earlier today, is a working session. Please be prepared to roll up your sleeves, get in there, play well with each other, come to some solutions, help us move this industry forward together. I want to thank our friends at Twitter. We have a quick video to share with you that's going to give you a little glimpse of what to expect this afternoon. Roll tape.
People will get a full update on the strides that we collectively as an industry group have come together and made over this critical issue around brand safety.
There's no one part of the ecosystem that's responsible. We're all responsible. 4A's has managed to organize 5 major holding companies, additional agencies, major agencies, to marshal resources and work together to solve a problem for all of us.
The reality is we're coming out of we'll say the age of mobile, where it was, how do I connect to one device? And we're moving into, how do all of my devices connect? When we live in a 31-hour day, but we still only have 24 hours, anything that's going to save me time, I probably will embrace. Brands need to actually understand that they have a responsibility to deliver. Divorce from a brand can happen at any time today. The conversations that are happening in 2020 are really, really important because you have a lot of not only thought leaders, but business leaders that are controlling how the ecosystems are going to be developed. And so it's important to get this group in the room to really help consumers feel much more comfortable with brands in general.
Because we need to work together to determine what the solutions are.
I think the name says it all, Decisions 2020. I'm really hoping that the important discussions and conversations we have around data, policy, technology, the future of our industry, not only lead to alignment, but also actual roadmaps. Talk is really wonderful, but really action is much better.